Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. Here in American Voices, we celebrate all this country has to offer. So after hearing about people's life stories, we also want to celebrate the land. So each week we invite authors and artists to talk about a favorite place in the country. This time, Catherine McNeur is back. Her book is called Taming Manhattan: Environmental Battles in the Antebellum City. Here's Catherine McNeur.
Hello, my name is Catherine McNeur, and my favorite place in America is Laurelhurst Park, which is in Portland, Oregon. My very first visit to Portland, when we first moved out here from the East Coast, there was the very first park that we started to explore, my family and I. But we had explored it when we were just kind of visiting and staying in a hotel and getting a sense of the city. It's a relatively small park. It has enormous trees. I've never seen trees as large as I've seen in this park at that point. They're about like 140 feet tall, which is pretty sizable. And it has a lot to do with the fact that it's constantly raining in Portland. And so it really kind of fosters a great environment for trees to just kind of take off. So there are some Douglas fir trees that are probably in the range of like 200 to 300 years old and about 150 feet tall.
On a windy day, I feel the trees sway. On a windy day, I watch the leaves fall.
It smells so good. It smells like, especially on a wet day, it'll smell like Christmas trees. It has that sort of piney smell to it, which is a really kind of soothing sort of smell as you walk through the park. And it's just a really refreshing place. And there's trees all over the place. There's something like 400 or 500 trees in the park itself. The rhododendrons that line the kind of a big staircase in the middle of the park, they go up and down the sides of it, and they pop out with a lot of color in the spring. So you end up getting pinks and reds and purples all up and down the staircase, which is really gorgeous. So my children have a habit of counting the steps because it's a pretty sizable staircase. And I think there are, at last count, I think it's 75 steps. So we know this very well. And the one thing about Laurelhurst Park that I really find lovely is just how they left the topography when they were designing it. So the park is super hilly. There are these hills that are pretty intense to climb up, even if you're just walking up the hill. But if you're running up the hill, it's a lot of exercise. And they left that topography even when this was sort of a period where a lot of park designers wanted to level hills like that to make things a bit more accessible and easier. It's sort of unexpected. The trails sort of wind in different ways. It seems more authentic and natural. You kind of have a sense of what existed there before it was a park, before the neighborhood built up around it. So you kind of can get a little flavor of what the city was like prior to its development. It keeps a flavor of old Portland there. I think in many ways, the park has been sort of become even more central to the lives of my family, for me too, through the pandemic even, because it was an outdoor space that we could go to that was, safe, and it was a place to meet up with friends and have birthday parties and things like that. So it became a sort of a contemplative place in the pandemic for me. As I walked and kind of had a space to myself, it became a playground for my family. It helps me put things in perspective, to be able to walk through it too, to have that kind of movement through the park, to be able to put things in perspective in terms of what's important, what's worth worrying about, and what can I not control. What is out of my control, and so therefore I shouldn't be worrying as much about it. To watch the changes in the park, the leaves falling, the kind of cyclical nature of it, that's a way to decompress and zoom out from your little life into kind of understanding a larger life that's happening in the city, of larger nature that's not, the plants are not affected by a pandemic. They're still functioning and moving on with their life. They're not wrestling with whatever political crisis is happening at the same time. 3 years ago, one of my daughters was recovering from the flu, and we were taking a walk once she was like in good enough shape to can get out and was no longer contagious and all that. And we're taking a walk around the pond, and all of these ducks, like probably 25 ducks, started following us on the path, probably because they must have been getting some kind of snacks from other people who had been there, but we didn't have anything to give them. And you're not supposed to feed the ducks technically, but we just started walking, and this whole like troop of ducks was following us. And so every time we go to the duck pond, she's always there to go check the ducks that are out there and to see if some of our favorites, sort of the multicolored ones, the sort of unique ducks that aren't all just mallards, if they're there to kind of just watch and see what's going on with them. She definitely stands on the side of the pond and kind of just watches to see if like the ducks are going to start like surrounding her again. So it's definitely a memory that they want to repeat. Yeah. My daughter really connects with a lot of animals, especially like crows and birds, I guess, generally. And it did seem like they were kind of connecting in some way. And she's so patient and calm around them that the birds like stayed. They didn't see it as a threat that there was a child there. They kind of hung around and stayed close to her. It was such a memory that it comes up like at least once a year or twice a year. We talk about the ducks following us along the path. The ducks are definitely a major part of this pond and this park. We'll never forget the ducks crowding us and not letting us pass, really.
That was Catherine McNeur on her favorite place. Her book is called Taming Manhattan: Environmental Battles in the Antebellum City. Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.